Where is Barracuda today? Where are we going with Barracuda?
With Barracuda, obviously, we started off, for those who don't know Barracuda, we started off, 2003 with, protecting email. Spam firewall is what we started off with. And then, from that, we had other security solutions to help protect those security threat vectors that come in, such as web security gateways, CloudGen firewalls, which actually was our next-gen firewall, rebranded to CloudGen firewall, protecting the edge on-prem. But as we've seen over the years and things that have been kind of shifting more into the cloud, we've provided a lot of cloud solutions, securing the applications, remote workforce users, SD-WAN capabilities. So, as far as Barracuda is concerned, we're more into becoming a cloud-first type company, protecting those
I've
applications.
noticed that. I mean, I think a lot of us have seen Barracuda slowly migrate away from some of those premise-bound archetypes that you created originally. One of the bigger points, at least that we're seeing here at CRNT, is connectivity. And certainly Barracuda has a fantastic solution, ZTNA. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, great. So as we're seeing more and more of the workforce being remote, obviously we had to lean on older technology such as VPN technology, which has been great in years past, providing remote connectivity. But what we've seen, and I've heard from a lot of customers, is the cumbersome nature of just traditional VPNs and how can be difficult to secure that traffic because you're backhauling everything or you're opening up the back end of your network. And so ZTNA is a zero trust network access solution, which is basically providing more of a secure connection, not trusting anything, but allowing explicit access to certain resources. And those resources could be a SaaS application, they could be in the public cloud, they could be even on-prem on your network, but allowing them to be transparent to the end user, and we provide authorization of those devices. So you still go through the authentication piece, whatever identity management you're using, Azure AD, Okta, those type of solutions, the SAML integration.
Right on.
So you still have to go through the authentication piece of it. Where ZTNA comes into effect is that we have proxies close to your application. When the user's working, there's an agent on their device, and as they're opening up their applications, we see that traffic that needs to go to that resource, and then we redirect to the proxy. And then from there, the user authenticates to that resource like they normally would. But then we also look at the device itself and make sure that those security policies are in effect, such as the health. Like, is there a firewall enabled? Do they have a password lock on their computer? A variety of different things that you as an administrator define. Once that passes, then that data path from the end user straight to the resource has access to it.
So one of the challenges that I see is, especially around enterprise businesses, they're not so sure about proxyable relationships, right? They're not so sure about having a man in the middle, so to speak.
Right.
How do you address that?
That's a great question, a great concern. So with our solution, we're not backhauling any of the traffic. So the proxies are owned by the end user. So really what the proxy's there for is taking basically that connection, and then making sure that connection is that device that you've been authorized and enrolled in, make sure that user's actually been authenticated, and then allowing that data path from there directly to that resource. So, with that, it removes that kind of PCI regulatory concern, any type of the regulatory where interference, being the man in the middle. We're not the man in the middle. So the data path is yours.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that you segregate the traffic. And you prevent any interference from occurring, especially any foreign actions, of course. Where is Barracuda going? Where would you say Barracuda is going for 2023?
Well, I think with Barracuda, I don't have a crystal ball, but in looking back, we're always there to make sure that the journey, wherever we may go, that we have security solutions protecting, the customer, making sure that, that their data's safe. Applications are safe, and you've kind of seen that where we've evolved, from on-prem solutions now moving those into SaaS offerings, such as email security, providing also, data recovery, or cloud-to-cloud backup, backing up all of Office 365. Still a requirement there. As we've seen, people becoming more need for remote workforces, that's where a ZTNA solution comes in. As they migrate their applications maybe from on-prem to a public cloud, whether it be Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud Platform, having an application firewall that's protecting that resource in the cloud. So basically creating a safe journey for wherever the user needs to move those applications or resources. I think that's where Barracuda is continuing to strive and focus to make sure that they're secure in their journey, wherever that may be.
Yeah, to me that sounds like secure delivery.
Yep.
Secure delivery and availability.